Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the official start of my Let's Play of The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Now, if you caught my prelude / introductory video / teaser, then you'll already know what this is about. If not, then allow me to give you a brief summary of my character before I get started. So, this is going to be a role-played Let's Play of Morrowind. I'm going to be doing as much stuff in character as I can. However, it's a unique one for a roleplay that I'm doing because I have actually never gotten all that far in any of the major quest lines in Morrowind, so I don't really know a whole lot about how to do certain things. So because of that, I will, during the course of this Let's Play, probably be breaking one of my own unofficial rules for once, and actually actively choosing to Google the solution to certain quests if I absolutely can't figure it out on my own. Not to say I won't try, but I won't prohibit myself from looking things up like I usually do. Also, despite this being a relatively blind-ish playthrough, I can't really call it blind, given that I've played about 90 hours of Morrowind so far. As in, I've played about 90 hours total, so I can't really call this a blind playthrough, but it is blind-ish in the sense that a lot of those 90 hours were just me wandering about and messing around and stuff, rather than actually doing any of the quest lines. And this is it should also be mentioned, this is a fairly heavily modded series. If you want a list of what mods I'm using, then consult the description below because I've listed all of them there. And there likely won't be that many changes if there are any at all. But it should be mentioned right here some of the mods that I am not using. I am not using Morrowind graphics and sound overhaul. I am also not using Tamriel Rebuilt. I am also not using the Morrowind acoustics overhaul. So let's cover those in reverse order. I'm not using Morrowind acoustics because whenever I try to use it, it has a tendency to spit out an ungodly number of errors. Saying that it couldn't find certain sound files. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to fix that, so I just decided, fuck it, I won't use this mod. The reason why I'm not using Tamriel Rebuilt and MGSO is actually one and the same, so we can just lump them all together. Basically, the reason I'm not using them is because I'm using Morrowind Rebirth, and it's actually fairly complicated to get Morrowind Rebirth, MGSO, and Tamriel Rebuilt working together. There is a way to do it, and I do have a tutorial that I have access to that shows you how to do it, but it's kind of tricky, at least it is for me. And I just couldn't be bothered to go through the hassle of getting all three of those working together, so I just said I would pick one and leave it at that. And I went with Morrowind Rebirth, just because, well, all of my playthroughs of Morrowind that I've done in the past, barring when back when I used to play it on the Xbox, barring that playthrough, literally all of them have been with Morrowind Rebirth, so while I won't say I'm experienced with it or anything, I'm just used to playing with Rebirth, so that's my main reason, honestly. And as for the next thing to go over, I'd say will probably be the type of character I'm going to be playing. And my character... Actually, fuck it. Why don't we go over the character while I'm making the character? That would seem to make sense to me, wouldn't you say? I certainly would. So... Now, after nearly 6 minutes of me rambling on about stuff that was covered in a previous video, it's finally time to hit the new game button and get started. Yeah, if you're not familiar with the way I do things on this channel, that sort of length of time before getting started is fairly par for the course with me. Get used to it. And now I will shut up for the opening cutscene. Enjoy, everyone.
They have taken you from the Imperial City's prison, first by carriage and now by boat. To the east, to Morrowind. Fear not, for I am watchful. You have been chosen.
Wake up. We're here. Why are you shaking? Are you okay? Wake up. Stand up. There you go. You were dreaming. What's your name?
Yeah, one hell of a dream, though. And my name? Mervis Thyrano is the name, my good sir. Pulled that one right off the Elder Scrolls Online name generator, because I'm too goddamn lazy to come up with my own names, and I could actually get a reasonably lore-friendly one this way. Just kept hitting reset until I got one I could pronounce.
Well, not even last night's storm could wake you. I heard them say we've reached Morrowind. I'm sure they'll let us go. Quiet. Here comes the guard.
This is where you get off. Come with me.
And better do what they say.
Yeah, doing it. And yes, we can apparently interact with things, but we can't actually do anything about that just yet because we don't have an inventory yet. It's one of those unique things about Morrowind that I always kind of enjoyed. Here you make your character before... here you make... give your character interaction is kind of spread out over stuff. And before we actually get ourselves up on the deck, I have to take care of something. Unfortunately, the game has a tendency to reset the view distance to maximum every time, so I have to go in and lower it down every time just to prevent frame rate issues. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a few here and there because this is pretty heavily modded, but this should help. And fucking hell, we arrived in the middle of a rainstorm. Yeah, have I mentioned Mervis does not like the rain? Oh god. What the balls happened to my master volume? I know it was a lot lower than that last time around. And let's drop the effects a little bit more too, because that thunder was too damn loud for me to take. Anyways.
You finally arrived, but our records don't show from where.
Well, as I said, we are a Dunmer. And we are a Dunmer male. But we certainly don't look like that. Give me a moment here and I'll see if I can't find a face that I like. And while I'm doing this, I figure I may as well give you a little bit of background on my character. I did this in the prelude, but I figure I'll do it again here just in case anyone has not watched that or decided it wasn't important or something. In any case, Mervis, he is what he refers to as a bard, but it's not what most people would call him. What they call him alternates depending on what he's caught doing or how they know him, as thief, assassin, information broker, mage, emperor's stooge. He's been all of these, but the things they would know him for would be as a thief of information, an assassin, and a spy, most of all. Now, how did someone like that wind up on a boat for Morrowind, is the question I'm sure many will be asking. And it's a fairly good question. You see, Mervis was employed as a freelancer to steal information from a member of the Elder Council by the Emperor. And he did his job, and he got the information the Emperor was after. But he was a little bit sloppy on his way out. And this resulted in a member of that man's household guard seeing exactly who had been responsible for the break-in and surviving to report it to his master. And so Mervis was subsequently hauled before the Elder Council by this man. That being the member of the Elder Council, not his guard who saw Mervis, by the way. Just in case that wasn't clear. Mervis was hauled before the Elder Council, who were outraged that he had apparently broken into one of their members' homes. And while they weren't aware of his relationship with the Emperor, enough of them were suspicious that the Emperor had to act. And now, Uriel the Seventh had employed Mervis on a number of occasions before. And by this point, he'd been receiving some reports suggesting that Dagoth-Ur was a lot stronger than they had anticipated, and that the tribunal was becoming much weaker. As a result, he decided to combine punishment and opportunity, and employed us once again. Good old Mervis was employed by the Emperor once more to go and make contact with a member of his blades in Vardenfell and assist them with their investigations into the Nerevarine and the Sixth House. He wasn't told much more than that, but he was told to expect a down payment for his services in advance on arrival in Morrowind, and that more would be forthcoming from his Blade's contact. And so, we find ourselves here in Seydanin, And I think I'm happy with that face, actually. And I quite like the red hair. Not sure why, though.
Great. I'm sure you'll fit right in. Follow me up to the office and they'll finish your release.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this new entrance area thing is a function of Morrowind Rebirth, and I kinda like it. It's a rather unique way to keep you from literally going around and robbing everything there is to rob. You see that plate over there? Most people when they start out would just run over, grab that, and then drop it, get lectured by the guards, pick it up again, and then have a few hundred gold to play with once they get out. But now, you have a level 50 lock standing in your way, so that ain't happening. Anyways, let's get on with character creation with our good friend Sokius Gala. I'm sorry, I am going to butcher every pronunciation, pretty much. You should expect that.
Yes, we've been expecting you. You'll have to be recorded before you're officially released. There are a few ways we can do this, and the choice is yours.
And, yeah, I have decided that I'm going to leave the subtitles off, because there's so few voice dialogue lines that when they do turn up, having subtitles for them tends to, in my view, be a little bit immersion breaking. Now, how do we want to pick our class? I think we're going to fill out the forms ourselves, and I'll just make a custom class. And my specialization is actually going to be in stealth, I think. Our favorite attributes will be intelligence and agility. Major skills? Well, first on my major skills list is Short Blade. Mervis has not an insignificant amount of experience with a blade, and we've had more than a few of our jobs turn sour where we had to stab someone to death in order to get out alive. Because he hasn't exclusively worked with the Emperor in the past. He's done a lot of freelance work and covert stuff from the like. So we have quite a bit of experience in jobs gone wrong. Next on the list, though, is light armor. We're hardly one for going around wearing massive hulking iron armor or just in robes. Light armor is us. And security. The reason should be obvious, but when you're in the business of breaking and entering, the theft of information and assassination, being able to bypass locks is a handy skill to have. However, as far as our conventional skills go, in that department, that's it. From here on, we venture into the non-conventional. With conjuration and illusion being the last two majors, because as Mervis is actually quite versatile when it comes to magic, which is where his other skills outside of blades, armor, and picking locks lie. In magic. So, conjuration, illusion. Destruction is actually a minor skill, despite him being a dark elf and their race being overall quite skilled in destruction. He doesn't use it very much, because it's not really a thing that he does much in his profession, lobbing fireballs at people. But it is something he's had to do on occasion. So he has some skill in that. Alteration. Next. Alchemy. Then restoration, then enchanting. So yeah, this skill breakdown is partially for roleplay reasons and partially just because, in my experience, magic in Oblivion... Sorry, Oblivion? Where did that come from? I'm so sorry. And with that, about half my viewers have gone now. Magic in Morrowind is actually one of the most powerful skill sets you can have. So I wanted to focus pretty heavily on magic, but I still wanted to have the ability to be swinging a sword at people. And so that's where the short blade and light armor came in, because I think I need some armor skill just to survive early on. Conjuration's probably going to be a pretty big one for me, because summoning a creature and having it tank some damage will be a pretty viable way to actually play, I think, early on. And illusion, also, if I can actually manage to stay hidden, and don't get me started about the stealth system in Morrowind, it might as well not exist, basically. But if I can stay hidden and then cast whatever the Morrowind equivalent of Fury is, and then have everyone kill each other and stuff like that, and maybe if I can get a raise corpse spell, and then just kill someone, turn them on each other, rinse and repeat, that'd be a great way to clear out large groups. Of course, I probably won't be able to do anything like that early on, because we're talking some advanced stuff that, when I last played, required me to be at least level 5 or 6 before I was able to do it with any regularity. Destruction is just in case I need to have a backup of lobbing fireballs at people or setting them on fire by tapping them. Alterations like magic armor and stuff. Alchemy, I just feel like I should have some skill in making potions. I never really got too deeply into this, but maybe this will be an excuse to do that. Restoration needs no explanation. You need to be able to heal yourself, and potions are not always available. For enchanting, I don't think I need to explain my justification, but I will. I just really want to get into making magic items and such, but it didn't seem like the sort of thing that deserved to be a major skill. But there are just so many enchantments in this game that could be so great to be able to use that I just need enchantment on my minor skill list at the very least. Now, as for our class, as I said in the prelude and in the bit where we were still sitting around on the menu, we are a bard.
Very good. The letter that preceded you mentioned you were born under a certain sign. And what would that be?
Okay. Now, there are a few options I considered for this, but the sign I'm actually going to go for is actually the sign of the shadow. The ability to turn invisible for 60 seconds. We're not playing a thief, but we are playing a more covert type of hidey, avoid conflict when possible character when we can, although there is quite a bit of focus on magic as well. I considered one of the more magical signs, but the idea of the shadow just strikes me as being quite useful, because that'd give us the ability to just turn invisible and GTFO if we get in over our heads. It just seems like an excellent strategic option. Plus, with our backstories being someone who is a thief of information, the ability to turn invisible, even if it's just for a minute once per day, is the sort of thing that just kind of fits, narratively speaking. So I'm gonna go with that.
Interesting. Now, before I stamp these papers, make sure this information is correct.
Okay. Morphus Thyrano. We're a dark elf. We are a bard. Born under the sign of the shadow. Our stats there. 40 starting health, 50 starting magicka. Just absolute pittance compared to the last time I did a mage character under the sign of the apprentice, but whatever. We may have a lot of magical skills, but we're not playing a mage. 45 skill in short blade, 40 in light armor, 35 security, 30 conjuration, 30 illusion, 25 destruction, 15 alteration, alchemy, restoration, and enchanting, 5 in everything under miscellaneous skills, the exception of longblade, athletics, mysticism, sneak, acrobatics, mercantile, speechcraft, and hand-to-hand. We have the ability to resist fire by 75%, so we won't be lit on fire as easily. For our powers, we have Ancestor Guardian, so we can cast Sanctuary for 50 points for 60 seconds on stealth, and Moonshadow for turning invisible. And we start with a couple of basic spells. You'll note we don't start with a healing spell, which is going to be tricky given some of the starting stuff. But yeah, that's good.
Show your papers to the captain when you exit to get your release fee.
For release by Emperor Uriel Septim VII's decree to the district of Vardenfell in the province of Morrowind. Morphus Thyrano, Dark Elf, Bard. Signed, Sokius Urgala, Agent of the Satanine Imperial Census and Excise, 16th of Last Seed, 3rd Era, 427. And in the vanilla game, or the game without Morrowind Rebirth, this is the point at which you run off and nick literally everything. But they've changed the layout a little bit to make that no longer possible.
And talk to Celisgravius.
Yeah. Now you walk off. I want to wait on that because otherwise the door pushes him out of the way. And now, I need to pop out here real quick. Because we need to see this barrel. If I don't grab this ring from that barrel, we will not have a magic menu. But now, we can talk to this guy.
Your papers, please.
Uh-huh. Right here. First, let me take your identification papers. Thank you. Word of your arrival only reached me yesterday. I am Celis Gravius, but my background is not important. I'm here to welcome you to Morrowind. Yes, you're in Morrowind. I don't know why you're here, or why you were released from prison and shipped here. But your authorization comes directly from Emperor Uriel Septim VII himself. And I don't need to know any more than that. When you leave this office, you are free. But before you go, I have instructions on your duties. Instructions from the Emperor, so pay careful attention. Well, as it happens, we do know why we're here, which puts us one up on this little bloody pencil pusher. But let's hear what he says about our duties. The Emperor did tell us that we'd be getting our information from local agents after all. May as well start now. This package came with the news of your arrival. You're to take it to Caius Casades in the town of Balmora. Go to the South Wall Corner Club and ask for Caius Casades. They'll know where to find him. Serve him as you would serve the Emperor himself. I also have a letter for you, and a dispersal to your name. And he's given us some directions for Caius Casades and a package. We also have 87 gold, which would be the advance payment that I mentioned we would be getting. It's not much, but it's something. So, Miss Celius. May I call you Celius? You said to take it to the town of Balmora. This may have escaped your notice, but I'm new around here. I don't actually know where Balmora is. Can I get some directions? Balmora is north of Sedanin. The road passes Pelagiad village and Fort Pelagiad, crosses a deep ravine, passes Fort Moonmoth, then turns west across the Odai River and into Balmora. The Southwall Corner Club is in southeast Balmora on the east side of the river. For more detailed directions, talk to Elone, the scout, in Ariel's trade house here in Sedanin. Take my advice. You're new here. Take the Silt Strider to Balmora. Fast, cheap, safe. Cross the bridge and head east. Can't miss it. Safe? You think I want safe? You mad, dude? I live for excitement and danger. Fuck that, I'm taking the road.
Stay out of trouble and you won't get hurt.
And now, we are officially out into Sedanin proper. And it only took me 35 minutes to get there. Yeah, this is pretty par for the course, honestly. Now let's save the game. And who is this now? Are you the one that boat dropped off? Not to see a boat arriving at that time of the day. Hope the Imperials treated you okay. I swear they took my ring. I swear one of the guards has it. I had it last week before their weekly Let's Shake Down Fargoth ritual. An engraved healing ring. Family heirloom of mine. You haven't seen it, have you? No, sorry. Can't say I have. No ring. Yeah, as you might be able to tell from that little interaction, let's just say that Mervis is not the nicest of people, which is putting it a bit lightly. I'm gonna equip Firebite for my spell, just to have one equipped. Yeah, not the nicest of people. As he saw it, if he was going to hand that ring over, he should be getting something in return for that. And this wood elf just looks like some penniless pauper without a single septum to his name. So what benefit would we get out of helping him and giving him his ring, rather than keeping a valuable magic item for ourselves? That's the way we look at it. Which is why I didn't hand it over. Yeah, I will try to stop and explain my actions sometimes, but I won't always. So just bear that in mind, and if you're confused about why Mervis did something, then ask, and I will try to answer. And now, I think we need to pop on into the trade house. We don't have a lot of money, but we have a little bit, and we want to be making use of what we have to buy a few supplies for the journey ahead.
Patience is limited.
Welcome to Ariel's Trade House. I'm Ariel, publican and proprietor. Don't take what doesn't belong to you. You're a new face here. If you want to buy from me, you have to barter. You want a little advice? Free to new customers. Just ask. Would you like to hear about our most popular potions? Or our most popular scrolls? No. I'm good, but I could do with a blade. You have any short swords on you? As it happens, he does. He has a silver short sword we could get, but it's quite badly damaged, really. It's only like 270 condition, so I would honestly rather get something that does less damage, but will be usable for longer than something that does more damage but will break on us mid-fight. Let's see here. I think we're actually just going to... Let's see. I don't see any steel short swords, so an iron one will have to do. I'll take one of those, and let's see if we can't get him to drop the price a little bit. There we go. That unfortunately burnt most of my gold. We have a grand total of 47 left, and cannot afford any of his spells. If possible, I'd like to get Hearth Heal before we leave for Balmora, but we'll need 139 gold for that, so that's a long ways off. As you can see, we didn't exactly arrive in town with a lot of cash to our name, unfortunately. And next thing I want to do, if possible, is pick up a nice set of chitin armor. I believe it's chitin and not chitin, but I could be wrong. Let me know about that, if you would. Let's see here. No, we could not afford anything more than a breastplate if we wanted to, unfortunately. I could buy a common robe or something, but I don't think we're going to just yet. For reasons that will become obvious in not too long. Though that may not be till the next episode. For now, we're going to equip this new short sword of ours. And it should be mentioned I have switched the controls around a little bit. Though you might not care about that. I've sort of tweaked them a little bit so they're more reminiscent of something like Skyrim, as opposed to how they are by default, because the default, you get your weapon out with F, and you can activate third-person camera with Tab. But I've changed it up a little bit so it's more reminiscent of Skyrim, where the F key gives you third-person camera, and R gets out your weapon. And just some other stuff like E activating instead of space. Just a few tweaks that make the controls more relatable for me is all. And I just figured I should mention that, in case there's actually someone who cares.
You're on your honor. Don't press your luck.
No. Who's this guy? I could see him motioning towards me while I was over there chatting with the scout. Let's see what he wants. You look like you'd use a friend, Outlander. Perhaps I can be your friend. I'd like you to help me recover some gold. Eh? What's this? Recover some gold, you say? That's right. See, I had a bad run of luck playing 9 holes and lost a bit of money. Normally I'd be fine. We can usually keep some gold in our pockets just from the money the locals pay us for protection. But I know some of them are holding out on me, especially that little fetcher Fargoth. He's come up light the last couple of weeks when I've shaken him down. I know he's stashing it somewhere. I'd like you to find Fargoth's hiding place. I know the little fetcher's got one somewhere in town, just not sure where yet. I've already gone through his whole house, so I know he's not hiding it there. I'd like you to find out where he's stashing his gold. If you can, I'll give you a share of the wealth. Are you up for it? Yeah, sure, I'll do it. Excellent. Here's what I want you to do. Not sure where he goes, but I know he wanders around town at night. Watch his movements. The best vantage point is on top of the lighthouse south of town. That will give you a nice view of all Satanin. If you keep an eye on where he goes, I'm sure you'll be able to figure out where he's hiding that gold. Alright then, guess we'll help you out with that. And this, if you hadn't already figured that out within like half a second, is our journal. Fortunately, we don't have just this, or it would get really hard to manage later on. Thank you, expansions, for that. You can actually sort it by topics and quests, so I can actually go back and see in this what someone has told me in the past, so we actually have a record of it if I'd forgotten something, as well as who said it, which is really useful. Anyways, we agreed to help him with his little shakedown, an escapade. Though Mervis isn't totally sure yet if he is going to actually hand over his share of the gold or keep it all for himself. We haven't honestly decided that yet. It really depends. Just nab a few bits from some mushrooms. Farming for alchemy ingredients can be a relatively lucrative venture as far as Mervis is concerned, provided we get enough sheer quantity of them. Doesn't mean it always works out, but it's something worth giving a shot at any rate. Nothing in that tree stump. Hey, you never know where you'll find something of value. It's always worth having a look around. Locked shack door. Pity we don't have any lockpicks so we can try to break in. For now, though, I think we want to head out of town a bit. We're not quite ready to begin our trek to Balmora proper, but I think we want to explore the area around Sadanie. Just see what there is, if there's anything interesting in the local area. Oh, interesting. Yeah, an Argonian Imperial Guard. That's actually from a mod I have called Yet Another Guard Overhaul, or it's named something to that effect, where it gives you some more variety and such to the guards. So they're not just all human Imperials. And you get a little bit more variety, like, if I remember right, it's sort of it also alters the house guards, so certain House Telvanni guards in certain locations, I do believe, have their gender restricted based on making them match the lore and background fluff you get from some of the NPCs in that area. Just make sure to nab as much of this as I can. Because why not grab as many mushrooms as we can? Never know when we might be able to sell them. I don't quite fancy the idea of being a mushroom farmer, or mushroom salesman for that matter, but there might be some profit to be had in it. What? Oh my god. Did a man just fall from the sky there? Honestly, if I didn't see that happen, I would struggle to believe it. Journal of Tarhael. I believe I may have found the correct formula for the spell I am developing. With it, I will be able to travel great distances without the need to pay others for the service. If all goes well, I will test out the new spell tomorrow. I believe I have worked out all the possible complications. It will allow me to leap great distances, covering many hundreds of miles. Never before has one been able to travel in this manner, vaulting from the ground, sailing through the sky, all without that terrible disorientation of a spell of flying. The time is almost upon me. My research is finished, and all of my calculations are checked and rechecked. They laughed at me when I suggested this. We'll see who laughs after I leap to the top of their towers and scream out my success. Yeah, how'd that go for you? And if you're wondering what he's talking about, that would be this. Scroll of Icarian Flight. Fortifies acrobatics 1,000 points for 10 seconds. So it will literally enable you to jump into the sky. Of course, the problem comes in that you have only a limited number of these scrolls, and then you come down. There is most assuredly going to be a way to mitigate that. In fact, if I remember correctly, there is a spell and potion in the game of slow fall that just slows down how far you fall, so you could combine those and make it work. But yeah, batshit absolutely freaking bonkers things like this are pretty common in Morrowind, and I just love it in that it just kind of embraces the insanity rather than nerfing it into the ground. It's my absolute favorite part. That this guy has on him an iron spark sword. That's an enchanted longsword that will do shock damage. It has a charge of 10. Honestly, I'm probably going to wind up selling that. Just because it is a long blade, and our speciality is in short blade. He also has some very fancy robes, a ridiculous looking hat that we're going to sell for money, some fancy ass shoes for the parties, and a very fancy looking robe. Goodbye, dead body. And let me show you something. It's one of my other favorite things with Morrowind. I have rather a lot of them, if you couldn't tell. As even without a few hours in comparison to other Elder Scrolls games I've played this, I just absolutely adore this game. Yeah, you can wear layers of clothing, so I could, if I wanted to, have on a full set of kit and armor and a robe over it. And that would be perfectly fine. Which, since there are so many pieces of a set of armor, boots, greaves, pauldrons, and one for the left, and there's left greave and right greave, rather than just greaves. You could conceivably enchant literally all of your gear, and some of the stuff like this is absolutely bonkers in that way, and I cannot wait to experience it. I really cannot. Now, though, we are going to steal a few more mushrooms and then head back towards Satanine. We don't want to head out too far, after all. It's only 3 p.m. though, so we can afford to just kind of screw around for a while longer. Because we need to find Fargoth's gold after dark, but if I remember right, then we won't actually be able to do that until like 11 p.m. So we're not exactly pressed for time with that whole thing. For now, I am going to head back over here and take the other fork out of Satanine to see what we can find there. And we shall see what we come across, I guess. And yes, I already knew exactly where to find this. I'm not even going to pretend when it comes to things I already know how to find. I'm not going to be metagaming in that regard, but I don't feel this is really metagaming, just going out, being curious and exploring some of the nearby stuff. I don't feel like that counts as metagaming, honestly. But I think that is a good enough place to leave it for this first episode. So we've officially arrived in Satanine. We have some extremely basic fighting equipment. And we have our orders. Head off to Balmora, visit the Southwell Corner Club, and find Caius Casades and deliver his package. But there's no reason we need to head off and do that right now. We can afford a little bit of time to explore the local area, and I think we can get away with taking the long road, most certainly. So, I hope you'll join me next time, ladies and gentlemen, when we will continue our exploration of Sadanin's surrounding countryside, and we shall see what we shall see.